Hi, and welcome to Wrong Way, and quite a different wrong way indeed today, because we will be reviewing a scooter, the Kingsong N12 Pro. So let me tell you more about it. Wrong Way. So it's been quite a while since I reviewed a scooter for the last time, but after a big break, after all of my recent new discoveries about myself and my views, I was like, hey, I might give it a shot. So my e-wheel sent out this scooter for me to test. If you want to get a scooter like this, or a electric unicycle for that matter, or other electric transport in Europe, then feel free to check out my e-wheel. My coupon code WRONGWAY also works for the scooter, minus 5% off. And guess what? How much is the scooter? Okay, give it a guess. Pause the video, type it into the comments. 900 euro. I think it's quite a lot of heft, quite a lot of scooter, quite a lot of features, like a smart BMS, a nice light with a cutoff beam, turn signals here, brake lights, like a big deck. You do like a big deck, don't you? So yeah, today I'm gonna tell you about it. I made a range test on it. I rode it locked, so it won't be a review like the olden days where I test the scooter to the absolute limit. I go the fastest, I do the hardest, corest off-road. No, I just use this thing for commuting. I did a range test on it. I tried everyday mundane things on it. And I rode it pretty calmly and legally. It's locked to 25 kilometers an hour. That's how I also did the range test. So if you're interested in that, then feel free to watch this video. Oh my God, you're already watching it. Awesome. I will also do a acceleration test with added 30 kilograms of weight on it, 32 kilograms. So for heavier riders, maybe this will be some sort of useful tip where you can see how the scooter behaves with more weight. I'm 80 kilograms heavy, but with the kettlebell, it'll be around 110 kilograms of weight on the scooter. So I'll do a full tour of the scooter in a second, but a very, very quick overview first. This is a big commuter scooter, in my opinion, designed for commuting, going to work and back, some leisure activities, nothing too fancy, but with added extra pep of a over 1,000, I think 1,300 watt motor here in the back, a 850 watt hour battery, here, quite a bit bigger than most other commuter scooters like the Xiaomi Pro something. I'm a bit out of this game, but I was looking at the specs. Most small commuter scooters are around like 300 to 700 watt hours. So this is quite a bit bigger, with a tested range of 52 kilometers GPS, while it was locked to 25 kilometers an hour. So quite a bit less than what Kingsong is stating at 80 kilometers, but still, in my opinion, a very decent result, especially considering the price and the fact that it has a smart BMS. Front and rear suspension, front drum brake, rear disc brake, mechanical one sadly, not a semi-hydraulic or hydraulic one, and of course a very strong regen brake, because Kingsong makes electric unicycles, so naturally the electronic brake has to be strong on their scooter. IP54 rating, so nothing too fancy, but it does come with an IP rating, so you can ride it in rain. When it comes to warranty, this is always kind of tricky. How do they, decide whether it's actually water damage or not, IP54 related or something else? I don't know, but if you are buying it from my e-wheel, I'm sure you'll get the support if you have some sort of, rain-related damage on the scooter. And another standout feature, although it is also on the Xiaomi and Ninebot scooters, but on sort of bigger scooters like this, or even commuter scooters that are not by Ninebot or Xiaomi, you don't usually get a smart BMS, and here you do get one. You do not get a UL certificate, so in this case it's a little bit less safe, I'll have to be honest with you, than the Xiaomi scooters that do have a UL certificate, or the UN 2272 norm, but we get a smart BMS and the IP rating. So with that out of the way, yeah, let's go from top to bottom, and I'll tell you everything that you need to know about the features of the scooter. And at the end of the video, I'll tell you about the performance and ride of it. So yeah, let's get into it. So sadly, my frame rate really doesn't like the lighting we have now, so I'll overlay a sort of picture of the screen. The screen is really big. It's very good to see in the night and overcast weather, but when it's really sunny, it's kind of dim. But you have plenty of information on it. Mainly you have the speed, and with a triple button press here, you can change it also to voltage, 63 volts currently, 67 is top voltage. And okay, one more, 1, 2, 3. And then you can also see the amp draw. So this is how many amps you're pulling from the controller. Just nice to have a couple of features in this main screen area. Here we have the odometer. You can see that I did 86 kilometers, but probably it's a bit less when you consider GPS values instead of what the scooter says. I think the scooter is slightly slower than it shows, so I didn't see any sort of thing in the app to calibrate this speedometer to GPS speed. Here on the bottom you can see the battery percentage, and funnily enough, at 100% it shows you FU. I think that's really rude, and Kingsong should change that. Although, you know, it just says full, but it's kind of funny when you see FU here. Anyway, on the right side you can see the battery readout. So this is almost full, and those bars drop the less battery you have. The lights are on, and you can turn that off as well. And I believe you can also see when the... Oh yeah, here's a small pedestrian. Cool. And here on the left side you would see how much power you're using also in sort of bars. So the more power you're using, the more bars you can see here on the left side. A very simple screen, very nice features. I just wish it would be brighter, but other than that, the design is cool, the placement is cool. Yeah, pretty good job here, Kingsong. When you press the button here twice, you can go through the modes. So you have modes P1 through 4. P1 will give you a little bit less amps on acceleration, so the ride will be smoother. P2 will give you a bit more, and P3 will allow you to have all of the performance you need. So in the P3 mode, you'll unlock the maximum power of 30 amps. So if you want to climb up hills, you will need to use mode P3. Mode P4 is for, you know, walking with the scooter. Really helpful if you want to get up some stairs and there's some sort of ramp on the side. You just have the limit to 6 kilometers an hour, so it's very easy to just push the scooter upstairs with the assistance of the motor. The handlebar is pretty wide and generous. It also has a small riser. I would say it's very, very comfortable to ride on a scooter standing up. It's also pretty tall with the stem height here, so I think that people of all shapes and sizes will be comfortable on it. A bit less comfortable is the weight, but that's something I'll talk about later. One pretty annoying thing about the scooter is it doesn't turn to the right as much as it can turn to the left. Oh, sorry, no. It doesn't turn to the left as much as it can to the right. So that's kind of frustrating when turning and maneuvering. The grips are also very, very comfy and very, very high quality. I really like those. I think they're great to ride. They move about a little bit, but I found them to be very, very comfortable even on longer rides on the scooter. And at the end you have those turn signals. So those are, I would say, a bit too flimsy. This can pop out by itself. And the plastic piece itself at the end, oh, well, let me show you. I loosened this part a little. This plastic piece can unscrew out itself. That happened to me once. So this could be a bit better quality, but I'm super happy that you have turn signals as standard on a scooter. I guess it's quite easy to replace those parts too. Can I take it out? I can't. Okay, so it won't fall out on its own, at least in this case. So if you want to engage the turn signals, you just press here and you have a nice audible beep so you know that they're on. And the turn signals light up both here and here in the back. Although in the back they're very dim, barely visible and red. But this, really, really cool. I think that's much safer than having your hand out for signaling where you want to go. Really awesome, and the buttons here feel good too. In the beginning I thought this beep is a bit too loud, but no, it's actually good and notifies you so you don't keep it on for too long. We have a bell that's built in. This is the rear disc brake, and it's substantially stronger than the front drum brake, even though it's just a mechanical disc that is not too big. So could be better here, but I don't complain too much. And on the right side we have the front brake, and the front brake is just a drum brake. Should be a bit better for long time use, but I also don't know how easy it is to service this one. In general, drum brakes should be a bit less hassle, but I can't really say too much about it. I guess I'm not an expert on brakes. With that said, you can also activate the electronic brake just by pulling on the brake lever a little bit, and you can even adjust how strong the electronic brake works. So you can turn it all the way off, or you can just keep it on all the way, which is awesome. I'll talk about the app a bit later. On the right side, you have the on and off button, and this is also multi-function, so you can turn on and off the scooter by a long press. A short press activates the lights. A double press changes the modes, and a triple press changes those settings here on the screen. It is of course also the accelerator. Now I have a standing start off, but that's also something you can change in the app. This accelerator is really nice and high quality, and yeah, even though it's plastic, I don't mind using it whatsoever. I think it's well made and it goes back smoothly and nicely. I'll talk about the throttle response a bit later also when I'll talk about the app, because a lot of stuff on this scooter is configurable, and that's something I really like about it. Moving a bit lower, we have a very sturdy and nice hook, so you can just, you know, take your helmet or take your backpack, hang it on here. And this hook also doubles to lock the scooter in place when you fold it. I'll do that in a second. The cable routing, really nice, just goes into here. But one thing I don't like as much are the screws here. There's 6 screws, and you actually need to mount them when you get the scooter. You do get a tool in the box to mount the handlebar, but those screws are really soft, so you can break them probably if you don't do this process very gently and softly. And probably if you keep unscrewing and rescrewing those screws over time, those might just break, so probably a trip to the hardware store would be needed. And judging by those screws, I don't know how the other screws look like in the scooter. So for sort of long time use, that's something that Kingsong could look out in the future, to have all of those screws in a bit higher quality or bigger diameter to keep this scooter functional for longer. The light in the front is with a cutoff beam. I really like that, but it's not the brightest one. But with that said, I think it's bright enough and good enough for outdoor use and anything you do with the scooter. You can also adjust the angle, and there's also a small reflector here on the bottom. I guess that's mandatory for some EU countries. Here we have also reflectors on the side, and here is the folding mechanism. So you have a clamp and a button to unlock it. Kingsong is also generous enough to provide you with information in the manual which screws you need to tighten if you have any stem flex or stem wobble. So then if you want to fold the scooter, you also need to pull it down, and then the whole thing folds up and locks in place here. Very nice and satisfying. In general, I would say there's not a lot of sounds to the scooter. It just sounds like quality because it's quiet. Oh my goodness. Here we have some more screws. I guess those are for tightening the stem if there's any stem flex. And you can of course lift up the scooter when it's locked, which is very important. The weight is very much shifted to the back, but I don't mind it. But I do mind the weight of the scooter. 30 kilograms is quite a bit. That's due to the bigger power motor, I guess suspension, and also the bigger battery. So if you are a lighter rider, if you don't frequent to the gym often, this might be too heavy. And the other Kingsong scooter, if you're down to buy a Kingsong scooter, the N14 might be a better choice. It's a lot lighter, I think about 20 kilograms. This is quite a hassle to carry upstairs, especially with the 30 kilogram weight and quite a big deck to pick up. Not very comfy to take the scooter anywhere. So mostly I would say the scooter is just to get in and out of home and get to somewhere you need to get, lock it outside, or keep it somewhere and then go back. Like if you need to walk up 1 or 2 flights of stairs to get to your home, I wouldn't be so sure if I would want to have such a heavy scooter for it. But with that said, with the locking mechanism, it's, you know, not the hardest thing in the world, but you just need the power to do it. I'm happy that the scooter does come with the smart BMS, but in general, I would avoid using elevators a lot, just to be in a closed space with a big battery. You know, with any battery, it's kind of stressful to be in an elevator, but yeah, probably it's the best if you live on ground floor or first floor if you need to pick it up. Yeah, that's preferably how I would use this scooter. So then if you want to get the handlebar up again, you press on the button, get it up, rises up gracefully, and then lock it in place. And done. Pretty nice. Moving on to the front of the scooter, cable routing, also really nice with some rubber pieces here. And in general, like, this feels quality, this looks nice. Maybe the King Song logo, I don't know. Maybe not the best one, but that's what we get here. The suspension you sadly cannot adjust. This is locked in place. And with this sort of spring suspension in the front, it's not a very comfy scooter by any means. I think that the suspension is very stiff, especially the front. But it works. It helps with the bigger bumps for sure. Definitely better for some off-road or some bigger bumps than a non-suspension scooter. We have a very, very sturdy mudguard here, very long, very wide. This will be very protective for rainy use. And on the bottom you can see the drum brake, as well as the valve for the tire. This is really important actually, because, you know, more often than not, valve access is not the easiest. Here in the front, we have it at a pretty good spot. Here you can also see the brake mechanism. Moving on a bit further, here we have some ambient lighting that turns on with the front light. Really nice. And we have a very nice kickstand, very sturdy, very good for a scooter. Like, I have no complaints here. The deck area is really big. You can see this is my size 45 shoe. I can ride it like this, like this. I can also just rest my foot against this. Yeah, really spacious and comfortable. I think that for heavier riders, for bigger riders, for taller riders, this is a very welcome addition. On the bottom, it also looks nice. We have a bunch of LEDs here, and they look phenomenal in the night. Say what you will about the LEDs, you can always turn them off, but there's also a couple settings. I think they look awesome. And here in the front, we have a charge port. This is a GX16-3 port, and it comes stock with a 2 amp charger like so. Now, I like the form factor of it. It's not heavy. It doesn't have a fan. It's very portable. However, do you really want to charge anything for 7 hours? Like, I thought throughout the years where scooters keep evolving, like, we won't get a charger like this in a box. There's also no second port, but I believe the max charge rate here is 4 or 5 amps. So ideally you can charge the scooter in about 3 hours. So much better than this, but honestly I think this is unacceptable. Like, you shouldn't have to wait like 7 hours to charge a scooter, especially that you should only charge those devices when you're next to them, when you know what's happening. Like, I wouldn't charge a scooter overnight. So with that said, cool that it's small, but the charge rate is very slow. You can get an aftermarket charger from King Song, or probably you could even use a pit zoom charger if you're into that, to charge the scooter up faster, because, like, yeah, 7 hours, that's a long time. Further to the back, we can see this element here, which is also housing the rear shock. I really like the rear shock, and as I can see here, you can even adjust the preload on it, which is not a given in scooters. The rear shock I definitely like a lot more than the front one. I think it has more travel, or at least it's a bit softer. The rear suspension on the scooter works really well, and definitely is something that I like about it. Here we can see some additional lighting, brake lights that blink, or those are also the turn signal lights, as I said earlier. Very dim, mostly ambient lighting, I would say, in the night. Here we can see how the cables run out, also very nicely. Like, it's a very clean look on the scooter. And we can see the cables running to the rear disc brake. As said, not the strongest brakes, but a pretty big disc. I would say it's 140 millimeters, just mechanical brakes. So yeah, we could have something better on this. You can see it's flat here. Maybe they just mounted worse before, I don't know. I guess this will do. For the price, like, I guess it's fine. The swing arm looks really nice and modern, and again, those mudguards, like, come on. I've seen so many broken mudguards on Xiaomi scooter. This thing is not moving anywhere. This is so strong. Really, really nice. And in the back, there's space for a license and of course a very, very bright tail light, which blinks when you're braking. Unless it's dark, then it's just stationary. But yeah, this taillight here is really, really bright. And in general, I would say, just concluding all of those features on a scooter, it is complete. A lot of the times when you buy a new scooter or a new electric unicycle, you need to buy this, you need to buy that, you need better mudguards, you need a different light, you might want some ambient lighting, you want to get turn signals, but this scooter has it all already out of the box. And that is something that I really like about this Kingsong N12 Pro. A lot of battery for the price, a lot of features, suspension, great lighting, ambient lighting, and a very nice app, which I'll show you now. So here's the app for the scooter. We have the speeds, the amp draw, battery level, nice by the way, and even a not the motor temperature sensor, the motherboard temperature sensor. Really awesome. Here we have a couple of quick buttons to select. So a horn, makes no sense, you just use the bell on the handlebar. We can lock the scooter. I was actually quite curious how that works. And let's see what happens then if okay, it's just locked and I probably can't use it, right? I can't, yeah. Even the motor locks up and it beeps. So if you leave the scooter somewhere, just lock it, and that's a pretty nice feature. There is no Apple Find My or other GPS enabled features, but this is still pretty nice to have if you leave the scooter somewhere. So let's unlock it. Boom. And if you're the owner, by the way, set up the owner of the scooter, because otherwise I guess someone can just download the Kingsong app and unlock your scooter right away. You can turn off the scooter and turn on the light, as well as set the vehicle password. And again, do this because otherwise someone can connect to your scooter and just change settings or unlock it if it's locked somewhere. Then on the top right, we can see the settings, and there's quite a lot of settings here. We have device info, which shows you the serial number, the firmware version, and the BMS version, even warranty information, which says that the motherboard and motor has a warranty for 365 days and a battery another 180 days. So not the longest time, but that's what we get here. And we can also diagnose if there's any issues on the scooter. We can update the firmware, also change the vehicle password here for some reason. We can adjust the gear speeds, all of them at 25 kilometers an hour in my case. You can set up cruise control, so it's really nice because once you hold it for 6 seconds here, but you can set up for a shorter or longer time, it beeps and then it's on, so you can ride with cruise control. You can set up the slip start, so at which speed the motor engages once you push the scooter. I just have it at 3, which is as standard. Electric brake energy recovery regulation is how strong the regenerative braking works. I just have it at 70 now, don't need it too strong. You can even turn it all the way off. You can set up the acceleration intensity. So I just leave it pretty down low because I like the scooter to be sort of mellow and not jodder me around. So I have it at 37 right now, but I even had it like at 18 before. If you have it at 100, it's just very jittery, and the smallest touch of the throttle really pushes you forward. So even in the mode 1, 2, it was not that comfortable for me. So I just set it up to the 37, and now it's all right and comfy. You can also set up when the scooter turns off, after which time, and you can set up some different lighting modes. There is a couple, but really the full color mode is the only one that you want to use. Some more features in the app include moments. Don't use those. You can use the camera, don't really need that, register, and something else. But yeah, I don't use the other features, but that is really nice. However, most importantly, there's also the BMS info. I forgot about that earlier. Here you can see the voltage of the battery pack, if it's charging, what's the state of the battery, and all of the cell series voltages are here. It tells you which one has the highest voltage, which one has the lowest voltage, and that is very crucial because this is safety. Like, you can just check what's going on with the scooter, so you don't have a lot of headache. Like in cheaper scooters, you just wouldn't know what the state of the battery is, especially if there's some sort of fault, you wouldn't know what's happening. And here you're like, oh, something's off, voltage is off, so I won't ride it and I'll bring it to repair. The battery cells that this scooter uses are this name. I don't really know them. It's not like Samsung, just I guess a cheaper variant. I wish it would be a better variant, especially considering that you would also have more range on the scooter. So maybe they could use a Pro model or a Pro Plus version to have better batteries, which have possibly a longer lifespan and a bigger capacity than the ones that I use now. And lastly, of course, I need to tell you about the ride of the scooter. And in general, a lot of it changed for me throughout the years. This is not a very exciting ride. It's just proper. It's quiet, which I like, and it's rather comfortable when you go on asphalt and sort of concrete paths. When you go off-road, it can do it, but it definitely doesn't like it. It's very stiff with the front suspension, and yeah, it's definitely not designed for that. If you want to go off-road, don't buy this scooter. It can do it for a very short time, but I wouldn't recommend it. The throttle response is very nice, especially in the more mellow settings, but the scooter still packs a lot of oomph. I did a torque test, I did the incline test, and King Song was saying that it can go up 25-degree inclines. Okay, so this is about 20 degrees? 23? Okay, better, but no. Yes. Barely. No. All right. So this is let's see. Actually 22. I remember it at 25, but maybe it's 20. Is it 22? Oh. Oh yeah, 24 here, okay. So it should theoretically go up this one. Lights off for power. So sadly no, error 1. Sadly this is not possible. I tried with a 23-degree incline, and with higher speeds it could do it, but it wouldn't be able to do it forever. So I guess 20 degrees is the limit, at least with my weight. Maybe they were testing it with a lighter weight rider. But with that said, this scooter still has a lot of torque. And for all of the stuff basically that you do in the city, this will be enough. And I think that this version, especially compared to the N14, is a better choice for heavier riders. Like, especially if you're a heavier rider, you will rejoice about the more power that this scooter is packing. The handling is really nice. It's very predictable. You have a lot of comfort on the big deck. The handlebars are at a nice spot. The tires are wide and grippy. However, for off-road use, or if there's some sort of sand or mud on the road, they are a little bit slippery. So if you have quite a bit of gravel to go over, then yeah, you would probably need different tires for a scooter or a different scooter altogether, because this is good for, you know, concrete, for asphalt, but yeah, you can slip out if there's a little bit more mud. So yeah, this is the scooter. 900 euros. I think that is a pretty good value proposition, especially with the smart BMS, with the power, with the range. It's a bigger scooter, so you just need to know what you're getting into. You can get a, you know, bike for this price, a pretty good one. But yeah, this is just, you know, no sport at all, which might be what you want. You might want to not be sweaty ever, or you don't want to exercise when you go to work or when you commute. But at the same time, again, for this price, not too bad. So with that said, let me know what you thought about this video. I think it's quite long, sorry. I just got into the mood of my prior days of reviewing scooters. And if you're still here, leave a like on the video, subscribe to see more content like this. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye. Look at this. That's such a complete baby.